Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Socially Distant, where the future's uncertain and the end is always near. I'm your host, Alex Weber, and I'm joined once again by my good friend and co-host,
Nirvana water, positively pure. Hi, I'm Richie Oliver, and if you wanted a nice glass of pure water to enjoy with your coronavirus, try Nirvana. Naturally green, positively pure. Natural spring water. Each bottle is a half liter. A half fucking liter for water? Yes.
So we're now taking sponsorship applications for the show, and if you do, that's kind of a little snippet of what you'll get. You know?
Yes, if you sponsor us, you also get access to my premium Snapchat.
And my OnlyFans, which, you know,
So like some random PR guy at like NordVPN. Dude, I don't know. Why am I getting pictures of this random guy's feet?
I love how you picked NordVPN too.
Yeah,
I was just watching some videos this morning where like 3 out of the 5 sponsors were like, this video is sponsored by NordVPN.
NordVPN and Squarespace is a big one. I watch one of my favorite video series and YouTubers is David Baumgartner. I don't know if you've ever watched him. He restores paintings.
Ooh.
And he narrates them, but each episode's like an hour long, and I love it. I'll just sit and I'll play it in the background of work, and I'll just zone out and just fucking rock it. I rock it with my socket.
Nice. So, before we get into sort of the news of the day,
Buns up.
we have to address the fact and let everyone know that while this is, I think, technically episode 7, we tried to record an episode 7 on Saturday night. And
I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. These things happen.
I got a little drunky poo.
Both Richie and I were consuming some adult beverages
Alcohol
during the course of the show, and it was going pretty well. And then I got a phone call from my mom, which I had to pick up, which understandable, you know.
Yeah.
World's a fucked up place.
You gotta call your mom when she calls you. You gotta answer it.
Yeah. So I thought it was gonna be a quick call. This call lasted 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, she's your mom. I don't care.
And so
you're gonna talk to your mom when your mom calls.
So Richie tried to like just talk for a little bit, and then he was just like, "We could just cut this out," and then sat there in silence for like 15 minutes. So then I came.
And then at one point, I just started just kind of singing "Girl from Ipanema" for like 5 whole minutes.
So then I come back from the phone call, and the rest of that episode was really good. And so like, the situation behind it sucks because that would have been a really fun episode. But again, shit happens. So what happened was, what was it? Your battery died on your microphone?
Yes, the batteries in my microphone ran out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was using it fine before, and then I was just like, nope, fuck you. But now I've discovered I can just plug it in. It accepts AC power. And I did not think of it at the time because I just discovered it now, but I now have a constant power source running into my microphone.
Good.
So we will not deal with that shit again.
Yes.
Hooray.
And so, well, it is unfortunate that we did lose most of that episode because it was a funny one.
It was really funny.
We do have like the beginning part, and the beginning part had some moments that were kind of funny. I played little snippets of 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies. So like, I changed in our like filing system for where I have all the audio. I have episode 6.5, so like maybe we'll just drop that out a little bit.
Ooh, that could be cool. Cause it's been.
We did talk about that remix too.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
So
I'm hungry.
There's that.
Hooray.
So this is episode 7. Technically,
yes.
I guess episode 8, but episode 7 because now we have 6.5.
Yay.
So that'll come out sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we are on YouTube at the moment. All we have on YouTube is the lost episode, so that one between 3 and 5 that was lost. And then I believe episode 6 That was the one with Cody, right? Was episode
Yes.
6? Yeah, so we have the lost episode and 6 on YouTube.
Can you believe we're already on our 7th episode of this podcast?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why I played 1 week when we did the last one, because I thought it was gonna be the 7th episode. So seven days makes 1 week.
7 days is hanging out. That's Sting. He does a song called 7 Days, and it's in 5/4.
Ooh.
7 days is how she roll. That's my Sting impression. You don't know what that man I know she gave to me. She gave to me.
So those 2 episodes are on our YouTube. There's the other episodes are on SoundCloud minus episode 3 because I had to pull episode 3 off. It's kind of a shit show because Glenn, our friend Glenn
Stockton.
Yes, he DM'd me on Twitter the other day. He was like, yo, where the fuck are episodes 3 and 4? And I was like, whoa, man, all right, here's 4, the lost episode. I'll get you 3 soon.
Oh, damn.
Because I have to bring the audio and the cover photo into Premiere, turn it into like a video file so I can put it on YouTube. I really wish you could just upload like an MP3 file to YouTube and then they'd just be like, use this photo as,
I know they have a creator function where you could probably do that.
I'll have to look into it. I tried just uploading it once and it didn't work, but
oh yeah.
And that's just kind of a time crunch or a time suck. And I did figure out how to get longer videos on there. We were originally limited to 15 minutes. I just had to confirm the account. So despite the fact that it does take a little bit to get that going, I now have some more time to do it because as of let me get an exact time of deceased here. As of 10:22 this morning, I was put on a temporary furlough at my job.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
I thought I was safe, dude.
No.
Because I got the pay cut a couple weeks ago, and that day my boss was like, oh yeah, there's gonna be some cuts and then salary adjustments, so like just be prepared. And I was like, fuck, if I lose my job I'm gonna shit myself. But then I just got a pay cut, so I'm like, all right, sure it's a pay cut, but that's fine. But then today I sat in on a video call with another department at like 10 o'clock. It was wrapping up around 10:20. I saw my boss was calling me. So I picked it up because I thought he had like work to give me. So I'm like, hey Ian, how's it going? He goes, oh, it's okay. And then I learned that they're doing a second round of furloughs and I did not make the cut. And what helped with that was that he was just like, they're doing this across the entire company, like from people who just started to like executive people. And then it has nothing to do with performance or anything. It's just, because the company that I work for they get all the revenue from events with people and they can't do those right now. So
exactly.
They're sort of SOL for the time being, and they might have their shit offset for like a couple months after this boils over because, events need to get rescheduled and all that. But so, so as of this morning, I guess technically lost my job, even though it's there for me once this ends.
The good part is that it's there.
Yeah.
You have a job and it's there.
That's super, I like the fact that he was like, your position is super important to like the team that I work on. So it's like, they're not going to just go, oh yeah, well, fuck them. We can go on without him moving forward entirely. They want me back after this.
Exactly.
Which is super nice. And he said it was going to be like 60 days, I think, which I guess isn't terrible. I mean, it's still pretty shitty. But I gotta talk to another person at my company and, get more shit in writing. But so, now I get to just experience this whole thing with a bunch of other people who just got laid off.
Oh man, that's crazy.
So, I get paid tomorrow, which is nice. And that's a paycheck with the pay cut. And, then I guess they're going to give me a little one-time stipend. I guess as sort of a like, yo, this sucks. Sorry, here's some money.
Okay.
And then they're gonna tell me how I can file for unemployment. So I'm gonna have to do
Oh
that.
goodness. Yep.
But what my boss was saying is I think like the maximum for unemployment's like 30 weeks or something,
Mm-hmm.
or that's what they've found with other people that just went on furlough in the first round. It's like 30 weeks. So 30 weeks, they're estimating 6. That's totally fine.
Yep.
I think the amount that you get paid weekly is dependent on your like salary. I think I have to look into it more.
It is.
But
Your salary plus expenses and things like that.
Yeah, so the number that he gave me that was like a quick estimate of what I would get weekly on unemployment, believe it or not, is actually like just like $22 to $25 more than what I would be making weekly with the pay cut.
Okay.
So if everything works out and I get that number, I would be fine because then I could, like pay for bills and rent and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Although I was talking to our friend Megan today and she was like, yeah, I'm just like not going to pay my bills because like they can't take me to collections. So like I'll just pay rent and fuck them. And I'm like, wish I knew that before I paid my phone bill this morning. It's $95 down the fucking drain.
Oh man.
But yeah, so this is going to be quite the experience, and we get to catalog this entire process on the show, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool to do.
Yeah. So definitely shitty news, but it could be a hell of a lot worse.
Exactly, and you gotta love what you have right now.
Yeah, and
especially.
Again, I have a job to go back to. Super thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
If all of the financial stuff goes to what I'm estimating it will be, I will be, fine, because I can at least afford to like stay here and live.
Mm-hmm.
So just I mean I don't know what I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do for 6 weeks.
Right. Exactly. That's gonna be the hard part.
I'm gonna make I might just start making surrealist films in my 200 square foot studio apartment.
Now you have the time. You can do the director's cut of Herb Lorraine.
I could. I definitely could. But right now,
finally get that out there.
Number one priority is getting everything on YouTube, and then I can go into herb mode.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that was kind of funny today was that I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. I was playing Smash and I was doing the you can make like a Mii fighter, and so I made one of myself naturally because why not? And he was wearing like a bear head as like as a hat, and then this butler outfit, so this super fancy like first album Panic at the Disco Brendan Urie looking kind of shit.
Yep, Daddy like a pretty baby.
Yes,
Daddy like a pretty baby.
And I put a picture of it on Twitter, and I was like, yo, might send this dude out into the world to fight the coronavirus. And so I had to, I made lunch after that, or I think I made lunch before that, but, went to the store to buy some wine, because obviously I need wine if I just lost my job, even if I'm getting it back. So you got to,
Yep.
And I slugged back 2 root beer McGillicuddy shots before this because Richie slugged 3 back on Saturday night before the episode.
Make up for it.
So that's my homage to him.
And the funny thing is, when you were out today getting the wine, you saw a man in a butler suit and a bear hat.
Yeah.
Fighting, yelling out in the air and punching, saying, my name is Chicken Bread. I'm fighting Corona. And then he started puking, and he started going, whoa, look out, I got diarrhea. There's airborne diarrhea. And then...
Yeah, it's super weird how you can sort of just manifest those things from, making a character in Smash to seeing a deranged man with a bear head out in the parking lot of a liquor store / Stop and Shop / Walgreens.
Right? Real eyes, dude.
Dude, real eyes, freedom fries.
Dude, realize that I am lonely.
Realize, Adam Fry.
Realize,
Adam
you know what? Fry.
You know what?
Fries.
Freedom fries for Adam Fry. So I meant to send this to you.
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm going to read it here.
Okay.
And this makes a lot more sense. So on Thursday the 26th,
Mm-hmm.
our very dear friend, a lovely man, beautiful human being, super great guy, friend Adam Fry, texted me saying, "So glad you and Richie are doing the podcast. I love it. It feels like I'm hanging out with you guys." So like that's kind of cool.
Awesome.
So, shout out to Adam Fry.
Yep. Adam Fry, I love you. Realize, Adam Fry, fries, freedom fries.
Adam, if you're listening to this, once this blows over, you gotta come down over here to Boston. We're gonna get a big old bottle of Barefoot Moscato. And
fuck yeah, dude.
We're just gonna have a time.
We're gonna go to an old timey bar and sing sea shanties with all the old patrons.
Well, hopefully the old patrons are still alive to go to the bar.
Dude, no. God, dude. You want to hear a really stupid joke I learned?
Yeah.
It's as a swear.
All right. Well, we've sworn a lot on this show, so.
How do you get a nun pregnant?
How?
You fuck her. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
I propose a toast to that joke.
Cling cling.
So,
cling clang.
So yeah, so I went out and did some shit. Came back, was going to play some more Smash, and I was like, wait a minute. What if I make a Mii fighter and name it COVID-19? Because then I could actually fight it. And that might be kind of cathartic, because it's like, I'm going to beat the fucking shit out of this thing. And so I took a
That could be cathartic. Dude, is your Smash just like you go to therapy on Smash and Mario just walks in, you're laying on a bed and Mario's like, so tell me about your childhood.
No, please, it's Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario with the all black outfit and the red tie. He walks in and is like, so my boy, tell me
about your childhood.
Did you go to church as a young boy?
Your want to physically defeat the coronavirus is all tied to the way you want to fuck your mother. Now, he just brings out like Freud. All right, Sigmund.
So yeah, posted another. I just have this thread on Twitter. It's like, might fuck around and send this guy out to fight the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. Next picture is like the pre-match thing where it's like Weber versus COVID-19 and it shows the Miis, and I'm like, now it's personal. And then
I haven't been on Twitter today.
Then when I beat it, I put a picture of the thing that said I won. And I was like, "Get fucked, loser."
Dude, loser.
And I had sent that to Megan, and she was like, "Oh my god!" And I then sent the picture of me after I won. I was like, "We can all go outside again."
Dude, you said we could go outside again.
Fuck what you heard. We can go outside.
Dude, first thing I'm doing, like, when this is all over, is I'm going out and I am going to do something.
That's very profound, because same.
I'm going to go travel the country and write about my travels with Dean Moriarty.
Nice. I just can't wait to, like, go somewhere and not have to feel fucking guilty about it. Like,
right? Exactly. Like, I don't have to be scared.
Real talk, like, I cannot wait for this shit to be over just so I can, like, do something outside and not being like, someone's probably going to judge me. Like, I went on a walk around the block a couple times today, and I'm like, someone's going to drive by and be like, get the fuck inside, loser.
Right, exactly.
Or, like, I went to Whole Foods today to go get some wine because you got to hit that sale section.
Yep.
And I know they were doing this at Trader Joe's, and I guess they're doing it at Whole Foods now. They only let a certain amount of people in the store.
Yep.
Which is super, super smart. Mm-hmm. Except that there's a line outside. And I'm sure they mark it off like 6 feet, because I know they do that at Trader Joe's. Mm-hmm. But it was a little rainy this afternoon, and I didn't want to stand outside. So I'm like, you know what? I just drove out here for no reason. I'm just going to go to the liquor store near me. And there was no line there. Hardly anyone. And I almost did buy a little 6-pack of the baby Corona bottles. And I would have drank all 6 of them during this podcast out of spite. Because now Corona took my gerb.
Corona took our gerbs. Get it.
But yeah, it was super weird because, like, I had sent some emails out when I first, I almost said when I first got to work this morning, when I first opened my computer this morning and signed onto my work email from the comfort of my bed. I had like sent out some emails to people. I was like, hey, let me know on this thing so I can get it done to you today, you know. And this person sent a Google Slides deck with me, and I was like, yeah, if you could do this, this, and this, and then did you have any luck with this? And I was like, oh, yeah, let me check. And then I jumped on this call for a meeting, and then got the call from my boss. And so this person was like, yeah, you could do all this for me and this and this. And then I was just like, you know, I'm just not going to say anything for the rest of the day to this person. I'm like, I'll address this with you tomorrow. So it was super weird, just sort of like, I don't want to say ghosting this person, but kind of ghosting this person. Because I'm just like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, technically, you know, I'm not working. But then right after the phone call, I was like, I could do this little quick project for this other person where I just have to drop some logos in. So it was super weird because I just literally got off the phone with my boss learning that I'm temporarily unemployed, and then went into doing some work and was like, wow, this feels nice. And then I'm like, fuck, what is going on?
Exactly, right? Just kind of sit there and you're like, oh, okay. I kind of get my sick kicks out of ghosting coworkers.
Yeah, right. So then what I was thinking of doing was making
making a diss track against that coworker.
No, she's cool, so I wouldn't do a diss track. I wanted to do a little like breakfast burger kind of action. Because I had taken some, when I moved, obviously brought a lot of like food that was frozen and stuff that I could just keep it in the freezer. I had some ground beef, so I defrosted that over the past 2 days. Tried to make some burgers last night. They came out okay-ish. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna refine this, and I want to do a breakfast burger in the morning because I have to. I had to cook the rest of the beef today, or else it probably would have gotten funky. But so I woke up at like 8:30 and was like, there's no way that I can cook all of this and eat it right now because I didn't like feel great because I had eaten a shitload of food yesterday. And on Saturday, literally all I had was a pretzel. So I went for like a day of hardly eating anything, and then yesterday ate so much fucking food that I woke up this morning and was like, I need to chill.
Exactly.
But then as soon as I got off the phone with my boss, I was like, well, I guess now I have plenty of time today to make this fucking breakfast burger. Let's make it a brunch burger, why don't we?
Exactly.
So I really got super into this because what else was I going to do? It's not like I had anything to do. I'm going to go stand in my tiny little kitchen and pretend like I'm on a cooking show. And
I remember the last time I really got into ground beef.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got made fun of a lot for it.
Would you put your dick in it or something? I don't know if you were joking or being serious.
That was the joke that was implied.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna have to talk to you about like recognizing comedy.
Hey man, I don't know. I mean, some people are passionate about meat. What can I say?
Exactly, dude. Meat is murder. But let me just say I murdered that meat.
Speaking of meat, what's your ideal lean to fat ratio? I feel like we've had this conversation before, but I want to know.
I am usually either an 85-15 or a 90-10.
Okay. So this beef that I had that my mom got me was 93.7.
Ooh, okay. Oh yeah, so very lean. So you're not getting a lot of juices.
It is not great.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
I'll put it that way. I made like 2 burgers for dinner last night, and one of them I just forgot to season before I cooked it. Ooh. And it was just like
bland as hell.
And then I did season the other one, and I was like, all right, this is a noticeable improvement. But so when I did this, and they were kind of thick, you know, they were both like quarter-pound burgers, I think. But for the breakfast or the brunch burger, I wanted to do something like a super thin, almost like a smash burger.
Oh yeah.
But I don't have cast iron, and I don't have a very thick spatula that I can press down. So I sandwiched it between 2 little plates and compressed it until it was super thin. So it was like a really thin, like almost like sausage patty, but it was ground beef. Fried it up over a bed of onions that I had cooked up.
Ooh, okay.
So we getting fancy. So I cooked up some onions,
Yeah.
cooked the burger on top of it. It was super thin. I wish I made it a little bit bigger because it shrunk. I didn't plan for shrinkage because we never planned for shrinkage on the show.
Well, I do. That's why I take a lot of what they call it a Spanish fly.
Ah, yes.
And
Oh
it's-
yes. Oh yes.
It helps my performance.
That reminds me. I wish I had a pen and paper to write that down, but I'll get to it. So made the burger.
Mm-hmm.
Had that ready. Yesterday morning, I actually met my mother in Sturbridge, I think. She wanted to drop some stuff off. I had plates that I ordered that came in super late, so like I finally have real plates.
Oh, nice.
And just some other food. So whenever she gives me food or like I meet up with her, she always gives me bagels from this place in Newtown, Connecticut called Bagel Delight, which is run by this old woman named Eunice. And
Eunice.
she is the sweetest woman ever, and the bagels are incredible. So every time I get some Bagel Delight bagels, even though I'm not in Newtown, always loving it. So I had a whole wheat everything bagel from there. Burger on it. Took some of the onions that I cooked the burger on, threw it on the burger, cheese over the onions. So
shit. Ooh, okay.
Encapsulates it. And then I threw it in my toaster under the broiler to get the cheese melting a bit.
All right. Real quick, I have to go clean up. I just came.
Yeah.
My penis just spit out.
Dude, that's not even the end of it. Then I fried up a fucking egg.
Oh.
How do you feel about runny eggs, by the way?
I've never been a fan of runny eggs. I'm not a big runny egg fan. If I go to a place, I'll usually get if I'm getting eggs at a breakfast spot, I usually do scrambled. Yeah. Or I'll do something like a breakfast sandwich where they usually cook it like over hard or over medium. Over medium, I'm okay with. Can't do over easy or sunny side, but I can either do. I could usually do either over hard, scrambled, or in a sandwich.
I was never a big runny egg person. It really freaked me out. There was actually a time in my life where I don't know what was with it. I could eat eggs totally fine, but if I looked at it while I was eating it, I would gag. So if I was eating like a bacon, egg, and cheese, and I was looking at it while I was eating it, I would like get nauseous just like looking at it. I don't know. I don't fucking know why, because I'm not that way anymore. But so like within the past month, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to kind of like give runny eggs a shot, and I'm not like a sunny side up kind of guy. Like that's a little too runny for me, but like a nice, over medium. Yeah. Maybe a little medium rare, So I had a nice little medium rare fried egg on top of the burger. And then I topped it off with some of this Cholula green pepper sauce, which is
okay. Is that a tapatía or Cholula?
It's Cholula.
Fuck yeah, Cholula. Let's go, mommy Cholula. I love you so much.
It's jalapeno and poblano peppers. This shit is gold, even though it's green. So I put that on there, and holy shit, this was fucking good.
And you put that all on your burger?
I put it on top of the egg.
Oh.
Which was on top of the burger.
Oh, okay.
In between two halves of a delicious bagel.
I had one of my favorite burgers is at this place, Mary's Steamed Cheeseburgers in New Bedford, Mass. With my buddy João.
Yeah.
He has a Portuguese name. I love that name, João. It sounds like a car going by.
João, actually.
João.
I worked with a João in New York. He was a cool guy.
João sounds like a car that's going by wicked fast.
João.
I mean, João. But yeah, so me and my buddy João went to go get burgers before we played a gig, and I had a breakfast burger, and it was a burger with a sausage patty on top, fried egg, and then a maple bacon syrup.
Oh shit, that sounds good.
So it was like a bacon infused maple syrup on top, and I came.
Yeah.
In that restaurant, they had to throw me out. I was also just kicked out of an Olive Garden because I exposed myself.
Is that why you have all those Olive Garden breadsticks in your fridge?
Yes, and because I was like, look at my breadstick.
And they're like, sir, we'll give you 50 breadsticks, but you have to never come here again.
And then I started a scene. They were like, hey, I was like, when you're here, you're family. I can go take a shower and walk around naked if I want to. This is my goddamn house as well.
Roll
and they did not
Tide.
like that. Roll Tide. There was so Larry the Cable Guy is not a man that I respect
No.
nor
Condone
like,
his
condone his
behavior.
comedy, but there was one joke he ever made which was really good, and he said something like, "Now I like Olive Garden." That's my Larry the Cable Guy. I like to go to Olive Garden because they say when you're here, you're family. Last time I went, they told my cousin he was a piece of crap and made him cut the lawn. And I was all like, that's a good joke. I'll give him that. But I don't get him.
No. I just recently watched the newest Tom Segura special.
Oh, okay. What are your thoughts? Because I also just saw it as well.
I thought it was good. Nothing really. I did watch it over the course of 2 days, so I didn't do it in one sitting. Maybe that detracted, but like I wasn't like. I liked it. I mean, Tom Segura is a great comedian, but just nothing really blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna compare it to the most recent Mike Birbiglia special.
Oh yes, which was also amazing.
It was the one with the couch. That whole monologue about the couch. I forgot what it was called.
Yes, and is that the one where he talks about being a father and all the stuff falls?
When that happened and he had his like meltdown after that, I had to turn it back and watch the whole thing again. It was so funny.
So Mike Birbiglia, I would have to say, is my favorite comedian now.
He's an incredible storyteller. Just like the way he does everything is really.
Thank God for Jokes is
masterpiece.
So good. Was it my girlfriend's boyfriend? All of his stuff is just awesome. But I like Tom Segura as well. I'm not a huge fan of just like shock comedy. I'm just gonna say 69 and come every chance I get. So that's why I like Mike Birbiglia, because he doesn't usually do that. But I love every once in a while I'll be like, I just kind of want to watch some raunchy comedy.
Yeah.
So I'll throw on Tom Segura.
I do like Tom Segura because it's not like ridiculously crazy.
Yeah.
But it's it's enough. So it's a good like middle of the road.
Yep. Bert Kreischer's also really good. I just want him to put on a shirt.
Yeah, I watched 5 minutes of his most recent special that just came out,
which was Hey Big Boy.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'm not in the right mood for this right now.
Yeah. That has to be like something that you start at like midnight.
Yeah.
Like,
it's got to be like a late night thing.
And
it's so weird because even like the latest Bill Burr special, I started it and was like, this just isn't like doing it for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'll watch a lot of specials for comedians that I used to really, really like who are totally raunchy and crazy. Yeah. But now it's just like I feel like they're just complaining about like, oh yeah, and you can't say this and you can't say that and it's 2020 and here's this, and I'm like, just talk about fucking what happened to the roast of the city of Philadelphia. Bring that shit back.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome.
I just started Mark Maron's new special.
Ooh, I watched that one as well, and I loved it. I love Mark Maron.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I stopped after I had to stop just because I was going to bed and I was like passing out. But the part when he was talking about, you gotta start taking turmeric. You take turmeric. Yeah, it's for inflammation. Like that. That's
what
really
inflammation
good.
Where is general
everywhere, but you gotta take black pepper to activate it, like that stuff. Another great comedian you should really watch is Taylor Tomlinson. She just had her debut Netflix special called Quarter Life Crisis.
Ooh, I think I've seen that one around.
She is as of right now, so Fortune Feimster has always been my favorite female comic. Yeah. I've always loved Fortune Feimster. Taylor Tomlinson is now my favorite female comic. Because I just love her delivery and her comedy so much. She does a really great way of telling stories, and yeah, she's great. Who else? If you really like kind of niche and weird comedy and kind of, I would call him almost like a surrealist comedian, James Acaster. I don't know if you've ever
I've watched some of his I've watched some of his stuff on Netflix.
He has a series called Repertoire, and it's 4 specials.
Yeah, that's what I watched.
He taped. And oh my god, he's so funny. He does some really funny stuff. Especially when he's talking about Twister, and Flirty Twister is a really good topic to talk about.
So speaking of Netflix, and this was a sidebar that I wanted to get on before, because before you mentioned Spanish Fly, which I will equate to gas station erection pills.
Yes.
And I saw a meme the other day that was if gas station erection pills were a human being, and it was a picture of America's favorite tiger breeder Joe Exotic. You want to talk about
Yes.
you want to talk about Tiger King, Richie? Because let me tell you,
Yep. Well,
you said you just started it.
I just started the second episode,
Okay.
so I've been seeing all the memes and everything. So yeah, no, don't spoil it for me because I'm
I
still.
won't.
I mean, my brother and his girlfriend are also watching it, so I've also had to leave the room
Yeah.
to like
No, I don't.
watch it. But yeah.
I do the best I can not to spoil anything. But
Okay.
I have watched the whole thing. I watched it in like 3 days.
Oh man.
It was requested by our friend Elena Friedman. I think I mentioned this on
Yep.
episode
Elena, I love you.
episode 6.5. Shout out. Today, actually,
Yeah.
today is our friendiversary, I think, when we first became Facebook friends. So that's fun.
Yep, I know they watch the show and I love them. So, yeah, Elena, you're the best.
Yeah, shout out.
We,
So
we
again,
started out hating each other, but now we kind of like each other.
so a couple years ago, for our little friendiversary thing, we went to the Courier, got like super dressed up, went and looked at the art, and they
That's
had
awesome.
they Snapchatted me today saying, "Hey, happy friendiversary," and I was like, "Yo, once society goes back to normal, we're going to the fucking MFA. I'll rain check you." So now we have it not only in writing, but we have it on audio. So Elena Friedman,
Perfect.
let's
Yep.
go to the MFA and
Mhm.
get fancy and go look at art.
Yep.
Um,
I need to take you to the Harvard Museum of Natural History.
Ooh.
You would absolutely love it. They have this whole section of glass flowers.
Oh shit! That
'cause
sounds
about,
super
like,
cool.
Yeah, it was this because they wanted to, like, for botany students, they wanted to have something tangible to be held in the classroom all the time, and if nothing's really in season or perennials and
Yeah.
stuff. So they had this guy and his son just hand blow glass and just make glass flowers. Oh, it's amazing. And they have a bunch of rocks
Ooh.
and taxidermy animals that you can take a look at and stuff. It's really cool.
So speaking of animals, let's bring it back to Tiger King really quickly. Even though
Okay.
you're super early in the show.
Yep.
And shit gets crazy, but I'll leave it at that.
Yep.
From the first episode, I was so freaking hooked because it is just so crazy that this is all a real thing that was occurring
Exactly.
in the United
right?
States recently.
Exactly.
Like recently.
Mhm.
And
Fun fact, I don't know if you know this, but Doc Antle does a big cat show at King Richard's Fair in Carver, Mass.
wait, are
and
you
he's been
fucking
doing
serious?
it for 27 years. And so they actually did the big like Facebook post about like, hey, that's Doc Antle. And he shows up with big cats and he does a big cat show. And I'm like, oh my God, now we have to go to King Richard's Fair this year and go do that. Have you ever been to a Renaissance fair?
It has been a long time. I would enjoy it a lot more at 24 than I did maybe when I was like 13 or
Dude,
younger.
we gotta get a bunch of friends and go and just get drunk off of mead and eat fucking turkey legs all day.
Have you ever had mead?
I've never had mead. I've always wanted to brew mead.
Yeah,
but I'd also like to brew cider.
I had mead once at a bar in New York, and it was pretty good. It was very interesting. I had it after I tried absinthe for the first time.
Ooh,
So I had
like
absinthe
real
and-
absinthe?
Yeah, real absinthe done the right way, and then mead. So it was a bar trip of firsts, and it was pretty good. I'd have to try it again. I wasn't like crazy about it, but I wasn't in the right.
It's
Right.
honey, I believe, right? It's
Yeah,
made
it's
from
like a honey. It's like a honey wine.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
It was definitely interesting. So, where was I going with this? First of all, I don't know how far you've gotten into Doc Antle's story on the show. Only starting episode 2.
Not really.
So this
I know he
isn't-
likes to walk around and he likes to ride elephants a lot. That's all I can get from it.
So this isn't really a spoiler, more of just an observation. He
Mhm.
creeps me the fuck out. Like with Joe, you know, he's this flamboyant, you know, super openly homosexual tiger breeder, cowboy, musician, I guess.
Yep.
Musician. By the way, this isn't addressed in the documentary, but addressed elsewhere. That's
Mhm.
not him singing on his songs.
What's that?
You know, did they get into his music yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so this just it happens a lot in the show.
Oh,
He
yeah.
has music that he puts out
Mm-hmm.
and music videos, and the music videos are fucking hilarious. But here's the thing.
Oh, yes.
It's not him singing, but he
What
says it's him. So that sort of gives you a vibe of what this guy's all about. So,
Yep.
it's just kind of like methy behavior, It's
Oh,
just,
perfect. Yep.
whatever. So like that's understandable. I listened to this true crime podcast where panhandle behavior, methy behavior is like a common occurrence. So like I'm used to that. Doc Antle legitimately creeps me out because he is like a groomer and is like super weird. So
A groomer as in like predatory?
yeah, he's super predatory. Like
Oh,
just
I haven't even
creepy.
got into that yet, so I'm gonna figure that out.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's all I'm
shit.
gonna say about it. But he's just a creep. So like Joe Exotic intrigues me, but also like freaks me out because he'd probably blow my brains out.
Right.
Just for whatever. But like
Yep, I feel like Joe Exotic would find you and shoot you, and Doc Antle, like, if you say something bad about him, like, you'll just notice like weird things just start happening around you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then
like,
I'll get my body
like the
dissolved in
mafia.
a tub of lye. So
Exactly.
but yeah, super interesting. And the memes are so funny.
I saw a Letterkenny meme, and it's like Carol Baskin fed her husband to tigers, and then it's Squirrely Dan from Letterkenny going allegedly, which is really good. Apparently there are now pictures surfacing of both Carol Baskin and Doc Antle helping Britney Spears at the VMAs when she did her performance with all like the big cats and stuff.
Shit.
Yeah, and like Carol Baskin sitting right next to her and just like, oh shit, Britney.
That's crazy.
I love Britney Spears.
Yeah, she's
She's
pretty
great.
cool.
Yeah.
But I was telling another friend about this. Like, Tiger King came at the perfect time because Netflix is like, hey, here's this docuseries.
Yep.
It's like what 7 episodes? You can get through it hella quickly.
Yeah.
About tiger breeders and people who run big cat parks in America.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds cool, but here's the thing. It's
Mhm.
off the fucking walls. And so
Oh,
it's
man.
like, all right, I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, here's a global pandemic. Y'all got to stay in your houses. You should
And now
watch.
You can watch.
You should watch this show. And then when you're done, because you have nothing else to do, you can make a lot of really funny memes out of it.
Exactly. You know what? Also, I watched actually for the first time all the way through last night. Liar, Liar.
Oh wow, that's an old one I haven't heard of in a long time.
I don't like.
Is that Frankie Muniz?
No,
No.
it's Alex D. Linz
Okay.
as a little kid and
Oh,
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. I was thinking of Big Fat Liar.
Oh yeah, but this one I mean,
Yo, shout out to Big Fat Liar.
I don't think I was ever a fan of Ace Ventura, or like, so I was kind of weary about like Jim Carrey, like
Yeah.
90s Jim Carrey. Like especially in 90s, I went more towards like, in terms of like 90s comedies, like the Sandler 90s comedies.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Stuff like SNL stuff and other stuff like that. So I'd never really got into like Jim Carrey in the 90s comedy.
Yeah.
So I liked it. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. I was just kind of like, oh, this exists. It's a movie and it's a film. It's about a guy who for one whole day can't lie. So yeah, his physicality was there. There were some jokes that I really loved and that worked really well, but yeah. Other than that, I was like, okay, that's cool.
What you should do is look up it's a show called In Living Color.
Oh
you heard of
yes,
it?
I love In Living Color.
Yeah, Jim
watch
Carrey
sketches of it
was
all the
on
time.
a lot of sketches and like
Yeah,
that was definitely
he
like
was
pre
Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, Fire Marshal
Yeah.
Bill Burns. That was definitely probably like pre-fame Jim Carrey.
Yep.
So that Jim Carrey I love. Like some of that shit is crazy funny.
Yeah. Did you know he auditioned for SNL?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think maybe I've seen his audition tape, or I'm thinking of someone else.
Mm-hmm. I also sent. I don't know if I sent it to you, but there's a really great mockumentary that came out in the 70s. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's called The Ruddles, and it was made by Eric Idle of Monty Python. And it's a mockumentary on basically like the Beatles, but they're called The Ruddles, and the members are like Nasty, Stig, and like other stuff. And first of all, they recreate sort of like the Beatles' music, like their own
Yeah.
way, and they sound just like them. And they basically do it. George Harrison has a cameo in it. He plays like a
Oh,
news
really?
reporter. They interview like Mick Jagger, Paul Simon, and the most fun bits are of like Eric Idle. He plays the Paul, but
Yeah.
he also plays like the announcer that's like walks through. He's like, and then going to the, you know what I mean, kind of like in kind of documentaries, like people that like walk kind of through a scene.
Yeah.
But oh man, he does a great job of it. And I don't know if I sent it to you,
I don't
but
think
let me
so.
check and see if I
Or
did.
if you did, please send it again.
Oh
'cause it
yes, I
sounds-
did. I sent it to you last night at 9:01 p.m.
Was this on Bookface? Oh yeah, you said
On
please watch
Bookface.
this. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll watch that tonight.
Yeah, you'll laugh your ass off. It's really good and really funny. Paul Innes is in it. He plays
Oh,
the
cool.
John, and instead of marrying like a Yoko, he marries what's her name, like Ava something. It is like whose father was responsible for World War II. She wears like full Nazi regalia, everything.
Oh my god.
Instead of a bed in, they have a shower in, and the water's running on them, and they're like talking. It was like Barry, the Ringo, also staged a bed in, but it was to commit tax fraud or like tax evasion or something like that. It was really funny. But yeah, it was really good stuff. Also, it's now, you'll be able to start seeing it soon. I just watched it. Between Me and My Mind
Okay.
is a great documentary about Trey Anastasio of Fish.
Ooh.
And his recording of his latest solo album and getting ready for the Baker's Dozen shows at Madison Square Garden. They're the first band at Madison Square Garden to do 13 nights straight
Holy
of
shit.
shows. And they usually do 2 weeks of shows every year. But this year they did a Baker's Dozen. And they actually had like a special donut that was like released every day of it, which was
Oh,
really
I think
cool.
I heard about that actually.
Yeah. So I'm a big Fish head, Deadhead, everything. I just watched a Dead concert this morning
Okay.
to get energized.
So, believe it or not, what are the chances of my mom calling me again right now? So,
Oh, yeah.
we'll be back in a second. Or Richie could just talk about whatever he wants for a little bit, and then we'll cut out the audio. So, BRB.
Talk about what for a little bit? What do I have to talk about?
Whatever you want.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna recite some poetry for you guys. All right. So let's do it. I'm gonna pull out my big book of contemporary American poetry, and I'm gonna read some Allen Ginsberg for you. Okay. So here we go. Let me first pull up Allen Ginsberg here. Allen Ginsberg, 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 Ginsberg. Here we go. All right, so I'm gonna pull up some Allen Ginsberg for you, and we're gonna go from there. So I am going to recite some poetry for you. All right, so let's see. I gotta find a good one to do that's not too long, but I'll go ahead and recite that for you. So this poem is called My Sad Self. This is a poem dedicated to Frank O'Hara. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that. All right. Sometimes when my eyes are red, I go up on top of the RCA building and gaze at my world, Manhattan. My buildings, streets I've done feats in, lofts, beds, cold water flats. On Fifth Ave below, which I also bear in mind, it's ant cars, little yellow taxis, men walking the size of specks of wool. Panorama of the bridges, sunrise over Brooklyn Machine, sun go down over New Jersey where I was born, and Patterson where I played with ants. My later loves on 15th Street, my greater loves of Lower East Side, my once fabulous amours in the Bronx Fairway, paths crossing in these hidden streets, my history summed up, my absences and ecstasies in Harlem, sun shining down on all I own, and when I blink to the horizon in my last eternity, matter is water. Sad. I take the elevator and go down, pondering, and walk on the pavements, staring into all man's plate glass, faces, questioning after who loves, and stop, bemused, in front of an automobile shop window, standing lost in calm thought, traffic moving up and down Fifth Avenue blocks behind me, waiting for a moment when... Time to go home and cook supper and listen to the romantic war news on the radio. All movement stops. And I walk in the timeless sadness of existence, tenderness flowing through the buildings, my fingertips touching reality's face, my own face streaked with tears in the mirror of some window at dusk, or I have no desire for bonbons, or to own the dresses or Japanese lampshades of intellection. Confused by the spectacle around me, man struggling up the street with packages, newspapers, ties, beautiful suits toward his desire. Man, woman streaming over the pavements, red lights clocking hurried watches and movements at the curb. And all these streets leading so crosswise, honking lengthily by avenues stalked by high buildings or crusted into slums through such halting traffic. Screaming cars and engines so painfully to this countryside, this graveyard, this stillness on deathbed or mountain, once seen, never regained or desired in the mind to come, where all Manhattan that I've seen must disappear. That poem was written by Allen Ginsberg in New York, October 1958. Real quick, I'd like to see if they included any where I would put some other Beats poets, maybe some Kerouac. Maybe Weber could put some smooth jazz underneath this for me. Maybe some like Steve Allen style, so I kind of feel like Kerouac myself. Let's see. I'll do another Allen Ginsberg. I'm a big fan of Allen Ginsberg. So, this is from his epic poem Howl. For Carl Solomon. 1. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the streets at dawn looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of night, who, poverty and tatters and hollow-eyed and high, sat up smoking in the supernatural darkness of Coldwater Flats, floating across the tops of cities contemplating jazz, who bared their brains to heaven under the L and saw Mohammedan angels staggering on tenement roofs illuminated, who passed through universities with radiant, cool eyes hallucinating Arkansas and Blake-like tragedy among the scholars of war, who were expelled from the academies for crazy and publishing obscene odes on the windows of the skull, who cowered in unshaven rooms and underwear, burning their money in wastebaskets and listening to the terror through the wall, who got busted in their public beards returning through Laredo with a belt of marijuana for New York, who ate fire in paint hotels or drank turpentine in Paradise Alley, death or purgatory their torsos night after night, with dreams, with drugs, with waking nightmares, alcohol and cock and endless balls, incomparable blind streets of shuddering cloud and lightning in the mind leaping toward poles of Canada and Patterson, illuminating all the motionless world of time between. I'm almost done, Weber. Peyote solidities of halls, backyard green tree cemetery dawns, wine drunkenness over the rooftops, storefront burrows of tea-head joyride neon blinking traffic light, sun and moon and tree vibrations in the roaring winter dusks of Brooklyn, ashcan rantings and kind king light of mind. That's from the poem Howl by Allen Ginsberg. Written in, do I have it, the date there? I believe this was written in the late 50s, I believe maybe 1958, 59. This comes from the Vintage Book of Contemporary American Poetry. So yeah, I love this book. It's great to really read contemporary American poetry.
What's the title again?
The Vintage Book of Contemporary American Poetry. It's actually this was my textbook for my poetry writing workshop.
Ooh.
And I rented it then, but then I ended up buying my own copy of it just because I love the poems in this book.
Pick it up.
Maybe
is
Weber,
it like is it a whole textbook or is it all just poetry?
Yeah, so it's a whole textbook, but it's basically just just put poems down. Usually there's a quick little about each author, and then they just let you read the poetry.
Interesting.
For their one of my favorite poets is in here, Gary Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
He is a Zen Buddhist living in, I believe, Oregon, and so he writes a lot of poetry about his son and his wife, which is really cool. But yeah, I love this book. Maybe Weber, you could put some like instrumental jazz, non-royalty free jazz under what I was reciting earlier.
Yeah,
just
dude,
so that
maybe
we can do that. Perfect.
Maybe I'll record some little jazz riffs on bass or something.
Oh, that would be great. Just doom,
What are your thoughts on Bukowski? You a Bukowski fan?
I feel like I've never really been a huge Bukowski fan. Mainly because his name sounds pretty much like Bukkake.
Yeah. That's the reason why.
Yep, that is exactly the reason. Not his. I feel like he's very much that sort of, woe is me, why don't you love me? I've loved you. Basically, he's a simp, and I don't like simps. Bukowski was the OG simp, and it's a very toxic mindset to be in. That's why I used to really like Hobo Johnson, but then I really like listened to him, and I was like, oh, okay, you're like, ew.
Like what I appreciated about Hobo Johnson was just that his style was kind of like, it was very him.
Yes.
And it was just like you hear it and you're like, this is this one specific person.
Mm-hmm.
But from like a musical perspective and just like a voice thing, I could never do it.
Yep, like I don't like his lyrics. It's very much like, I did all this shit for you, now you have to love me. Like, no, that's not how life works, bitch. You know?
Oh, so speaking of music and things that we do and don't like,
mm-hmm.
when I was driving, again, so I drove to Whole Foods today, saw that they were doing their quarantine lineup outside, and was like, you know what? I don't want to wait in that line. I'm going to go somewhere else where I don't have to be around so many people.
Mm-hmm.
I was flipping through the radio stations on my radio, and I came across this one station that was just playing what sounded like very avant-garde jazz.
Oh, perfect.
And I forgot the name of the station. I took a video at one point of, I think, the title of it. But it was based out of Cambridge. I think maybe it was like an MIT radio station or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this guy who was just playing all this really weird, like, improvised, like, borderline avant-garde jazz. And I listened to it. It's like maybe like 15 minutes from my apartment to Whole Foods. So I did 15 minutes, and then, you know, maybe like 10 from Whole Foods to the place that I went, and then another like 3 to 5 from the liquor store to my apartment. So like a solid half an hour of just listening to this. It was awesome. Wow. So here's my proposal. Richie, if I was to acquire a shipping container full of various narcotics, would you like to take them all and then start an avant-garde jazz group with me?
I wouldn't like to take them all, but I'll take some.
Okay.
And instead of doing avant-garde jazz, how about we do experimental prog rock?
Okay, I can get behind that.
I'm gonna send you a bunch of music from this band Gong.
Okay.
You've ever heard Gong?
I don't believe so.
They were a proto-experimental prog psychedelic band.
Ooh.
And they would only record during full moons on an equinox on a mountain in Spain while tripping on LSD. And they created a trilogy of albums called the Radio Gnome Invisible Trilogy, about a protagonist named Zero the Hero, and how he transcends and he meets the witch Noni and the Noni, I think Noni, whatever.
Noni?
Yeah, and he Noni and the pothead pixies, and about his transcendent and all that stuff. It's weird. But yeah. Pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah. I'd be down.
Okay, perfect. I'll send that to you.
Cool.
I'm hitting about an hour on my recording here, and I might cut off a little bit, so I think it's time that we call it a night.
Hey, you know what? Episode 7, not too bad. We had a good
conversation. I recited some Beats poetry for you.
Some Ginsberg.
Honestly,
we talked about
Ginsberg.
Recent unemployment, and now we get to document all of that on this show, which is, I actually think that's pretty cool.
I do think that's pretty cool.
We're getting to track everything. So
it makes good content. Stay unemployed. Fuck it. Fuck it. I want you to stay unemployed and not do that shit.
Get fired. Get taken to court. I don't give
a shit. Fuck it.
All right. On that note, before we hit any technical difficulties, big shout out to everyone listening. Thank you once again. This is
shout outs to Adam Fry, Elena Friedman,
Glenn Stockton,
Megan, Glenn Stockton, people whose names we brought up today. Yes. You guys are great, and thank you for supporting us and loving us. Once again, I just want to give another big shout out to Cody Okonski. I wasn't in the best mindset to do that on Saturday.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he was really cool to really sit and talk to. especially coming from an up and coming musician like myself. Here's a guy who went through the paces and did everything, and it's really I respect that, and he makes some really good music, and yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah, so actually, very pertinent. I guess Cody, he announced or he like put up or announced the album cover for their EP on Animal Crossing. So it's like he had all of the Millington albums that he made and like Animal Crossing on his wall in Animal Crossing. So they're like really lo-fi. You can't really tell what they are.
Yep.
So it's just like there's an arrow pointing it. He's like, I wonder when the release date is. So
shit.
That was a super, super interesting and cool way to drop an album cover.
Topical as well. Topical as well.
100%. So shout out to Cody once again. Shout out to everyone we just mentioned. We'll be back tomorrow. Probably. I mean, what else are we going to do? I'm certainly not doing shit. So yeah. Thanks for coming out. Hope your Monday was better than mine. Even though my Monday wasn't terrible. It was still pretty bland. But you didn't have a brunch burger, so I win. Everyone,
I didn't have a brunch burger, but we did have. So the reason I brought up Olive Garden stuff is because tonight we did have. My dad made spaghetti meatball and sausage and like just kind of Italian. And
I had pasta tonight as well.
He his work, Sid Wainer, transports a lot of the materials for Olive Garden. So they use their trucks, but they don't buy like the breadsticks. So we had like Olive Garden breadsticks.
Ooh.
That we baked and like made and stuff, and they were really good because our Olive Garden closed because of my antics. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's cool to have Olive Garden breadsticks again because that's the only thing that they're good for. Because Olive Garden's head chef was a fucking microwave. I fucking hated it. Sorry, I'm just not a fan of Olive Garden, especially chain Italian places.
You can't do it. So on that note, this episode was not sponsored by Olive Garden, but instead was sponsored by Fuck Olive Garden International.
Amen.
And you can donate to that at WEBASAURUS_ on Twitter. I'll link my Venmo, and I swear to God it's going to the right place.
Yep.
On that note, everyone, hope you all have a good afternoon. I know it's nighttime while we're recording this now, but you'll probably hear it in the afternoon or evening. So if it's the evening tomorrow, have a good night. Stay tuned for another episode. Stay safe, stay cool, and stay socially distant. Peace.
Amen. Bye-bye.